You didn't come here by accident. Something in you is searching. Maybe life hit you recently, and you're still standing but barely. Maybe you're tired of reacting to everything around you like a leaf in the wind. Maybe you just know deep down that you're capable of more than what you've been settling for. Good, that instinct matters. Hold on to it. What I'm about to share isn't motivational fluff. It's not a pep talk you'll forget by tomorrow. These are 9 principles drawn from Stoic philosophy, battle-tested ideas that have kept human beings steady for over 2,000 years. They worked for Roman emperors under siege. They worked for slaves who refused to let chains define their minds. They'll work for you, but only if you engage. Only if you treat this as more than content to consume and actually let it land. So stay with me. Let's begin with a single truth. You cannot control the world. You never could. But you can become someone the world cannot break. That's what this is about. Everything starts with a decision about what you will and will not accept from yourself, not from others, from yourself. Most people have vague ideas about who they want to be. They want to be better. They want to be disciplined. But they never sit down and define what that actually means in practice. So when pressure arrives, they fold, because there was never anything solid to hold on to in the first place. A line in the sand is specific. It sounds like this: I do not lie, even when it would be easier. I do not skip my training even when I'm tired. I do not gossip, even when everyone around me is doing it. I do not break promises I make to myself, period. These aren't aspirations. They're laws you impose on your own behavior. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire, but the governance he wrote about most in his private journal was governance of himself. He understood that if the inner structure collapses, nothing external can save you. Define your non-negotiables, write them down, and then defend them like your identity depends on it, because it does. We live in an era engineered to destroy patience. Everything is instant. Delivery, entertainment, validation, distraction. The entire architecture of modern life is designed to make you reach for the quick reward. And every time you reach, you get a little weaker. The Stoics understood something neuroscience has since confirmed. The ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of a meaningful life. Not intelligence, not talent, not luck. The willingness to endure discomfort now for something greater later. This doesn't mean living joylessly. It means understanding the difference between pleasure that builds you up and pleasure that quietly tears you down. The evening you spend reading instead of scrolling isn't punishment, it's investment. The money you save instead of spending on impulse isn't deprivation, it's freedom being built in silence. Epictetus, a man who was literally enslaved for part of his life, taught that no person is truly free until they've mastered themselves. Every time you resist a craving that doesn't serve you, you prove that you are the authority in your own life. Not your appetites, not algorithms, not habit. You. Practice this daily. Start small. The muscle grows. Here is perhaps the most powerful idea in all of Stoic philosophy. Between what happens to you and what you do about it, there is a space. Most people never even notice that space exists. Something happens, they react. Stimulus response. Automatic, mechanical. But in that space lives your freedom. Someone insults you, you feel the heat rise. Your jaw tightens. Everything in you wants to fire back. But you pause, you breathe. You choose that pause, that single breath, is the difference between being governed by circumstance and governing yourself. This isn't about suppressing emotion. Feel everything. Anger, grief, frustration, let it move through you. But do not let it steer. There is a vast difference between feeling angry and acting from anger. The first is human. The second is reckless. Train this in the mundane moments: traffic, a rude stranger, a frustrating email. These aren't just annoyances. They're a daily gym for your composure. If you can stay steady when someone cuts you off on the highway, you'll be ready when life delivers something truly devastating. The person who controls their response controls their life. Everything else is noise. You will fail. Let me say that clearly so there's no confusion. You will have days where you abandon every standard you set, days where discipline vanishes, and you wonder if any of this matters. It does, but not because you'll be perfect. It matters because you'll come back. Daily renewal is the most underrated force in personal development. The Stoics practiced it every morning. Marcus Aurelius began each day by reminding himself what he would face: difficult people, ingratitude, betrayal, ignorance. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. And then he chose, consciously, to meet the day with virtue anyway. You don't need a clean streak to be disciplined. You need the willingness to recommit after every stumble. Yesterday you stayed up too late and skipped your morning routine. Fine, that was yesterday. This morning, your feet hit the floor and you begin again. No drama, no guilt spiral, just action. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. Recommitment is not a sign of failure. It's the very engine of transformation. Your attention is the most valuable resource you possess, more valuable than time, more valuable than money. Because how you spend your attention determines how you experience your entire existence. And right now, 1,000 forces are competing for it. Notifications, headlines, arguments online, other people's opinions about your life, drama that has nothing to do with you. The modern world is an attention war, and most people are losing badly. The Stoics were ruthless about mental diet. They understood that what you focus on expands. Feed fear and fear grows. Feed purpose and purpose grows. This isn't mysticism. It's basic psychology. Your brain allocates resources toward whatever you repeatedly direct it to, so direct it deliberately. Notice where your attention drifts during the day. When do you reach for your phone without thinking? What kind of content do you consume in your downtime? What thoughts do you allow to loop in your mind unchallenged? Start curating, not obsessively, but consciously. Spend more time with ideas that sharpen you. Reduce exposure to noise that dulls you. This isn't about living in a bubble. It's about recognizing that your mind has a limited capacity and choosing, with intention, what deserves to occupy it. A focused mind sees solutions where a scattered mind sees only chaos. Growth and comfort do not coexist. They never have. Every meaningful expansion in your life, every leap in skill, confidence, or character happened on the other side of something that made you uneasy. The Stoics didn't just accept discomfort, they sought it. Seneca deliberately practiced poverty for short stretches, not because he had to, but to inoculate himself against the fear of losing what he had. He ate simple food, wore rough clothing, slept on a hard surface, and then asked himself, is this really what I've been so afraid of? You don't need to take cold showers in a river at dawn, but you do need to develop a habit of moving toward resistance rather than away from it. The conversation you've been avoiding, the project you keep postponing because you're not ready, the honest words you haven't spoken because silence feels safer. Each time you act despite discomfort, you teach your nervous system something crucial: I can handle this. And that lesson, repeated enough times, fundamentally rewires your relationship with fear. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as a signal that growth is available. The comfortable path is always open. It's always calling, and it always leads to the same place, a smaller version of who you could have been. Emotions are data, not commands. This distinction alone can change your entire life. When anger arises, it's telling you something. Perhaps a boundary was crossed. Perhaps an injustice occurred. That's useful information. But the anger itself isn't a directive to shout, retaliate, or destroy. When sadness arrives, it's signaling loss or disconnection. That's worth understanding, but it isn't an order to withdraw from life or abandon your responsibilities. Most people don't make this distinction. They feel something and immediately become it. I feel anxious becomes I am anxious. I feel hopeless becomes the situation is hopeless. The emotion swallows their identity whole. Emotional separation is the practice of observing what you feel without merging with it. You can acknowledge sadness without drowning in it. You can recognize anger without being hijacked by it. You can sit with fear without letting it make your decisions. This isn't emotional suppression. Suppression is pretending you feel nothing. Separation is feeling fully while retaining the ability to choose your next move. One is dishonest and damaging. The other is mastery. Begin simply. The next time a strong emotion grips you, name it silently. There's frustration. There's anxiety. There's jealousy. The act of naming creates distance. Distance creates choice. Choice creates freedom. Identity isn't something you declare once. It's something you demonstrate daily. You don't become disciplined by announcing it. You become disciplined by acting with discipline so many times that it stops being a choice and becomes simply who you are. The Stoics understood that character is built through repetition, not revelation. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should waste no more time debating what a good person should be and simply be one. The emphasis is on action, not theory. This means aligning your behavior with your values even when nobody is watching, especially when nobody is watching, because the person you are in private, when there's no audience, no accountability, no reward, that's the real you. And that person either reinforces your identity or erodes it with every small choice. Keep your word, follow through. Do what you said you'd do, particularly when you no longer feel like doing it. Over time, this creates something powerful, a self you can trust. And a person who trusts themselves is nearly impossible to destabilize from the outside. Your identity isn't what you believe about yourself. It's what your actions prove about you, day after day. Not everyone deserves access to your mental world. Not every opinion warrants your consideration. Not every piece of information benefits you. Strategic solitude isn't loneliness. It's clarity. It's the deliberate choice to step back from noise, from draining relationships, from environments that pull you away from who you're becoming. Epictetus taught that wealth isn't about accumulating more but about needing less. The same applies to your mental life. The fewer unnecessary voices you allow in, the clearer your own thinking becomes. The less time you spend absorbing other people's chaos, the more energy you have for your own growth. This isn't about isolation or arrogance. It's about boundaries. Evaluate who and what occupies your time. Are those influences making you sharper or duller, more focused or more scattered, more grounded or more anxious? Protect your environment the way you'd protect anything precious, because your mind, your peace, your clarity, these are precious, and they require defense. These 9 principles aren't theories, they're practices. They don't work if you simply agree with them. They work when you live them, imperfectly, repeatedly, stubbornly. The storms will come, they always do. People will doubt you. Circumstances will test you. Your own mind will sometimes work against you. But if you commit to drawing your line, mastering the weight, owning your reactions, showing up again after every fall, guarding your focus, stepping into discomfort, feeling without obeying, proving your identity through action, and protecting your space, you will build something inside yourself that nothing external can dismantle. Not because you're invincible, because you're rooted. That's the difference. You don't need to be untouchable, you need to be unshakable. And unshakable isn't a trait you're born with. It's a structure you build, one honest, disciplined, courageous choice at a time. Now close this and go do something that proves you heard it.